Hi everyone.
Hello.
Well, on a same old every time. Can't teach you anything, can't tell you anything. All I can do is point toward and ask you to look to where we're pointing to see for yourself. Because that's the important thing to understand. That nobody can ever give it to you. Nobody can tell you anything or teach you anything. Because what we point to, it's all the one essence. I'm not speaking to anybody. I'm not speaking to any mind. Understand that also. So then you can't say, he's talking crap or he's doing this or doing that. Because he's not speaking to anyone, it's just going out there, or no out there or in here, just the basic space of phenomena, which it all appears in. All the vibration or movement in that space. Not speaking to anybody, not speaking to any mind. I'm speaking to that I am. And you understand what that I am is? Isn't it the sense of presence? It expresses through the mind as the thought I am. How could you express that sense of presence if it didn't have any words? It'd be just as it is right now, a presence awareness, but you couldn't even say that. And like you can't say negate it, you can't say I am not. And it's all based on words, concepts, ideas, images. It tells you in the Bible, in the beginning was the Word. That's when it seemingly all began. The Word was with God, because what they call that word, God. All things were made by Him, by the Word. And all this manifestation, as you know, is made up of words, concepts. And there was nothing that was made without the Word. But the thing is, we've taken the Word to be the real. I say we or I. It is all the one essence, patterning, shaping, forming, experiencing, expressing as everything. And that's, again, everything. And you look at all this manifestation, you take to be you, me, planets, stars, all this manifestation is made up or appearing, or things appearing in the different pattern, shapes and forms. So, all appearing in the basic space, the emptiness, the cognising emptiness, the basic space of phenomena, or other labels they put on it. And in that basic space, which is empty, it's still, it's silent, it is no thing, because it has no shape, has no form, has no centre, no circumference, no beginning, no end. So can something come from no thing? It can't. So what we call things are really no thing, seeming to be something. So that's why I say we can't teach you anything or tell you anything. Well, nobody can do that. Because how can one thing, which is only an appearance, teach or tell anybody else something? So that's why they tell you that, or the Buddha said so many so-called time ago, which is all concepts, words, ideas also. He sort of called it a cognizing emptiness. An emptiness with the capacity of cognizing, or another term for cognizing is knowing, or awareing, being aware of. He called it a cognizing emptiness. The emptiness itself, we think we cognize the emptiness. It isn't that at all. It's the emptiness that does the cognizing. It's suffused with that intelligence, or knowing. And he made the statement that emptiness is form. So this cognizing, or emptiness that has the capacity of cognizing or knowing, is forming all these things, because the emptiness is form. And he turns it around and says the form can be nothing other than the emptiness. Again, pointing that the oneness or the onlyness of all this manifestation, or as they say in Hinduism, non-duality, non-dual, not two, only the one emptiness, in which pattern, shapes and forms appear, play around and disappear. Or again, as they say, when they call it Shiva Shakti, Shiva, the godliness or the static aspect, Shakti vibrates, the female aspect vibrates or dances. And that dance, the dance of Shakti or Shiva, is the world appears. Everything, every so-called thing appears as a vibration, a movement of energy. Are you this body-mind? Are you this person? Where does person come from? Persona, an ancient language. Words were in, meaning mask. So now we've got to believe we are this person. We're referring to what we are as a mask, a conceptual image we take to be real, because that seeming mask obscures our true nature, seemingly blocks it off with concepts or words or ideas. So the word appears to be real. The things appear to be real. Look at this body that you call your body. You believe that to be what you are, because you say, and you really know that you're not that because you say my body. You say my coat, my house, my car, my shirt, my hat. You're not the shirt, the hat, the coat, the car, or the house. Maybe, on that reasoning, you're not the body either. Pull it apart, investigate it, because that's what we point to, is that the false cannot stand up to investigation. So, question all these beliefs, concepts we've got on, ideas we've taken on, and really have a look at them now. And if they're false, it won't stand up to it. It'll fall apart. You see that in your life. Many things now you've taken to be real. When you investigate them, they're not as they appear to be. The blue sea, we go down the ocean, you see a beautiful blue sea. But pull a bucket of water out of it. Is the water blue? No. The blue sky, go up in a plane 30,000 feet. Is the blueness coming in through the portholes of the plane? No. It's always further out. A rainbow. You see all the colours of a rainbow. And when you investigate that, you see it's the sun shining through the mist on the background of the seeming blue sky, which is like the backing of a mirror. It reflects, and these colours reflect in the sky like a rainbow. The water in a mirage. You're driving down the road, and what appears on the road appears to be water there. When you drive up to it, there's nothing there. The snake in a rope is another one to talk about. The child of a barren woman. All these different things they point out in the scriptures for us to recognise and see that things are not what they seem, not what they appear to be. And they can all be broken down into the one essence. The one vibrating intelligence energy in which things seemingly vibrate and seemingly become substantial and solid. So you can't say you are this person. You can't say you are this body when you say my body. And only when you say my body, who is saying the my? Who is it that believes there's the my? Whose body does it belong to? Can you find any entity there, or anything that's solid or substantial that's claiming this body? There's nothing there. But it seems to be so. And that's what they say about this manifestation. It is a phenomenal manifestation. They call it, again, Sat, Chit, Ananda, Nama, Rupa. They're the 5 factors of Hinduism. Sat is existence. Chit is consciousness. Ananda is loving to be. And the Nama, Rupa is the name and form. And these seeming persons, these individuals, you and me, have forms which we call this body. And with our parents and others have put names on those forms. I'm Bob, I'm Australian, I'm a good fellow. This is me. That's you. So the Nama Rupa, they say, are Maya. They're just illusion. Illusionary patterns. They're not the reality. But the existence, can you negate your existence right now? No, you can't. You know that you are. Can you negate your consciousness? No, I am conscious. And you can answer loving to be. Yes, of course you want to be. You don't want to be dead, for quids. So you can't negate the reality. But the labels and the form, when you look at them, have no substance. The word, when you look at it, is not the thing. Take this word, the name that it's put on this pattern, Bob. Am I Bob? What's Bob? Bob's just a word or a label. It's not what I am. What I am is, that word I am, as I'm putting on it, is a sense of presence. There's nobody there who's not present, and you're not unaware. You're existing, you're conscious, and you're not unaware. You are being right now. Nobody is not aware or not conscious or aware of that beingness. So that's the great mantra they talk about. I am that, thou art that, this is that, everything is that. And isn't that innately known?
Yeah.
Because you look out there at all these so-called things that are in the manifesto. That's the room you're in, that's the chair you're sitting in, that's outside, that's the tree, that's the flower, that's the house, that's the planets, that's the stars. Everything is that already. So you probably never looked at that, I am that, in that light before. You see it in a different way. And understand. Right understanding, as Patanjali said years and years ago. And as Nisargadatta says, understanding is all. And right understanding, get the right understanding. Then start to recognise our true nature, which what stopped us from recognising and staying with it was when we learnt words. Put the meaning into the words which our parents taught us and never questioned it from then on, taken it to be the real, and we get lost in the words. The sensations, feelings, ideas and concepts. We put labels on a lot of things. What's wrong with right now if you don't think about it? Try and latch onto that for a brief moment. What can you say without a concept, without a thought, without a word? Just even in the minutest space where it's written on, you realise without the word, you don't disappear, you don't fall apart, your heart doesn't stop beating, your breathing doesn't stop happening, functioning is going on, food's being digested, everything's still going on, but concepts or words have stopped. It's just a pure seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, knowing. And I put those labels on trying to describe the indescribable, tying to the point to what is ineffable, ungraspable. But the taste will come up. The resonance will come up. And they recognise the truth. And they say, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. What do you need to be free from? Isn't it only the belief that you've taken on that you are this separate entity? You are this individual. You are in this world. And are you in the world? Or is the world in that essence that you are? If you are the essence, everything that's appearing in that essence, as that essence, is one and the same. There is only that. How it appears to. So putting a different take on things, the so-called things. Can you be fearful, anxious, depressed, guilty, or unhappy? As Wei Wu Wei says, why are you unhappy? Asking a question, why are you unhappy? And he gives you the answer, because everything you say, everything you think, and everything you do, everything is for yourself. That believed in separate self. For that self, and he says there isn't any. There isn't one. There isn't a separate self. And they tell you that in the text and the scriptures too. It's the one self, the Atman. Not a personal self or a separate self, but the one self. And that self, pattern, shapes and forms and expressing as all things. Tell me when or how or why you could be or ever were separate from that one self. The belief that you are an individual, a separate entity, when investigated, you see it couldn't possibly be so. That life that's animating or expressing through that pattern, shape and form you call you, is the same life that's expressing through every pattern, shape and form. And expressing as everything. And isn't God life, if you like to use the term God? Life is God, God is life. God is love, so love must be God. Everything is that one essence. Patterning, shaping, forming, appearing, expressing in different patterns, shapes and forms. Ideas and images. But are still only and ever the one. And that is all there is. You're going to continue to keep dividing and separating yourself from that one. Whether I'm not good enough, or I am unhappy, or I am fearful, or I need this, or I need that. When did you start to need or want all these things? When you were growing in the womb, were you thinking about anything? Oh, when I get out, I'm going to do this, or I need to be that, or anything? No. The life was there, even though the brain was forming, and then other things were forming, growing that body. It was still the life was there then. And the sperm that swam to the ovum, and the ovum that attached itself to the wall of the uterus, the life was there. Or how could they come together, or how could they be? Tell me a time when you were not. And again, tell me a time when you never will not be. Before that pattern shaped and formed as the embryo, the essence, the reality of you was still there, expressing as other pattern shapes and forms, as the food that your parents ate, the air they were breathing. There's never a time when you're not, and never a time when you will not be. But in the isolation and the separation has come the insecurity, vulnerability, fear, depression, shame, remorse, guilt, jealousy, envy. All these concepts or vibration patterns which were formed into words. And the word was never the real. Every word you've ever spoken or ever likely to speak has been picked up along the way. It's all been learnt. And we've learnt these words and believed in the word, taken the word to be real. All right, well, if you think the word's real, have a look at it and question it. Drink the word water. Swim in it, wash in it. Cook with the word fire. Burn yourself with the word fire. But we do. You beat yourself up with the word fear or anger. You destroy yourself. Without that word, what is it? Isn't it a sensation, a somewhat movement appearing, which cause that sensation stirs up the body? First, the thought is very subtle. You can think a million things, and even in their subtleness, they're not going to do you much damage. But when you put the sensation or the feeling into it, the thought has grown from a very subtle, vibrating, subtle movement of energy into a more substantial vibration now, and it becomes a sensation or a feeling. And that feeling, which we've experienced before, if it's a fresh and new experience, you don't know what it is, you've got to look into it, and then you try and identify it with something else, and you put the label on. When we've learnt words, we're given the words for all these things from our parents, and that sensation or feeling then grows at the next level is emotion. Yeah. Now what's happening when it's emotional? Isn't it stirring up the body, sensations? Getting the blood pressure to run up a bit higher, or all sorts of other things. I'm not a physicist or a doc, but they'll tell you what happens when you become emotional. Stirs up. And we dwell in these feelings and emotions. This one goes and another one comes, and one's not seemingly coming from that, and this is not good enough, we don't want this, so what do? We regurgitate it again, bring it up again and have another look at it. Like I think it was Kipling, it was said that a dog will return to his vomit. And he does. Always. Watch the dog when he does it, brings up his food, he'll go back and eat it later on. That's what we do. We return to all these concepts, ideas and images and continue to beat ourselves up. A little bit of reasoning, a little bit of looking into it, and the realisation that I don't have to go there. I don't have to do that. It doesn't have to be so. And to realise you can let it go. And you can recognise that all thoughts, all feelings and emotions are transient. They're changing constantly. So it's not you that can do anything about it. Because you are the life essence, which thoughts, feelings and emotions appear in that body. But if they're transient, they're not going to stick around forever unless we cling to them. And then, I don't know, it was Naropa or one of those says, stop your clinging. Do not cling to these concepts, ideas and images. Let them be. So, freedom. Freedom, as Krishnamurti wrote a book, Freedom from the Known. Very good title. Look into it and see, have a go. Some of these things that have been said down through the ages, we mouth them, a lot of them, and don't do any more. And you're told it's non-dual, it's one without a second, and we continue to divide things up dualistically and see the way it functions, vibrating in the opposites, good, bad, pleasant, painful, happy, sad, loving, hating. All with words. We beat ourselves up with the words, with the concepts. What's wrong with right now if you don't think about it? You can't say it's good, you can't say it's bad. When there's no concepts going on, what's there? No chatter, no vibration, no movement. It's like they tell you, the peace that passes all understanding. Because what's stopping the understanding from being there is the belief in the words and the labelling of the words. Put meaning into something instead of leaving it as it is. We're like in nature outside you right now. The earth's rolling around the sun quite naturally and effortlessly. Sun's evaporating water and clouds are forming, rain's coming down. Other places the clouds are dissolving and it's nice and sunny and warm. See, the functioning's going on just the same in that body of yours. You're breathing naturally, your heart's beating, hair and fingernails are growing. See what it's all going on? It's all there and can be utilised. But see what's happened? We've twisted it around and taken it to believe there's something there, and it's beating the hell out of us. We're beating the hell out of each other with the word. Something comes up and you like it. How do you know? Well, I've experienced this before, it's good. Naturally, we don't want the good things to go. We want them to be there all the time. Not realising that it's transient, as they tell us. And you see, transient means it's changing. And it's changing right now. There are thousands of cells dying in that body of yours and mine right now and being replaced. So it's fun. The livingness is happening. And we don't want the good things to go. Not realising they are transient, no matter how much you love them, how much you want to keep them and hang on to them, they're going to change. Not wanting to change, what are you going to do? We try to resist it. We've got to keep it there at all costs. We don't want the bad things. And what happens when you're resisting something? You're in conflict with it. You're at war with it. And see how that goes on and you don't like it. And what's conflict? Brings up all this anxiety, the stress, the guilt, the shame, remorse, the jealousy, everything. All this psychological suffering comes up with that conflict. So resistance is conflict. And conflict makes you uneasy when that fear and anxiety go. You're not too happy with it. You're uneasy. Another word for uneasiness is dis-ease. So there's resistance, conflict and dis-ease. And that's what our life consists of, isn't it? Have a look at it, see. Something comes up and you don't like it, because that's what you're trying to get rid of, the bad things. You don't want the bad things. You don't want the good things to go, and you don't want the bad things to be there. So the bad things come up, oh no. Me to say, oh, I don't want that thought, that's not good, I've got to get rid of it, it's beating me up, it's causing all sorts of trouble. So try to push it out, whatever way we can, we try to get rid of it. And it doesn't go, because you're resisting it. You're trying to force it out. That's the time you're trying to keep the good things there. Now you're trying to force the bad things out. See, what's happened? The self-centre, or the reference point, the belief in the separate entity, has come in. It's in there all the time, because until we recognise there's nothing there. And we're using it to try and get rid of something. And it doesn't work. Because the self-centre, or the reference point's a fiction. It hasn't got any power. So what's to do? You see that out there in nature, that Earth's still rolling around the sun. You know, whatever is coming across, it's constantly transient and changing. But it's not fighting. Day's not fighting with night. Winter's not fighting with summer. The seasons are not fighting with each other. There is no resistance going on in it. Now it might seemingly be so in the storms and the things like that. They take place, do what they need to do, and move on. And everything becomes quiet and peaceful and happy for a little while. But because it's transient, it's constantly transient, constantly changing, spontaneously, naturally and effortlessly, it'll go on. But if there is no reference point blocking it anywhere, impeding it, stopping it from moving and doing what it needs to do, what would it be? Be naturally as it is and can be enjoyed. But while there is a reference point and resistance, it's always going to be conflict, dis-ease, unhappiness, fear. And that's why the clarion call is, man, know thyself. Investigate thyself. Question. Know the truth. And by doing that, what do they say? There's a realisation of what you really are. You're making it real. That's realisation. Be real. Be true. Know the truth. The truth will set you free. So that's what they talk about, this investigation. Why, if you're really looking into it, it'll happen, but you leave yourself in these beliefs we've taken on at birth and constantly reinforced and continue to reinforce. Life can be pretty miserable, can be pretty unhappy. Instead of being unafraid and free, it's now condensed or constricted in the pairs of opposites. Anyway, that's enough for me for now.
Do you have some questions?
Yes, if there's any questions, bring them up, tell us about it. Or anyone got anything to say which will help. But
Hi everyone. You have birthday wishes again? Birthday wishes.
thank you.
From Melinda from Bali. And
Hi,
a couple of
Melinda.
people mentioned a birthday boy that we're meeting in Sophia's. Yes, the birthday was actually 10 or 11 days ago, but because of the full lockdown we couldn't gather anywhere. Now we still can't gather at home, but we can gather in the restaurants. So we're going to have 2 cakes today and just catch up on that celebration. So now we've got a question from Tanya. Could you please talk about how not to fixate on thoughts or ideas? These are 2 ideas that seem to cause suffering still. Both have to do with the body. There is a fixation on being a certain weight, but still building muscle, and the other one being that 10,000 or more steps a day must be done. Kind of embarrassed to admit fixation on these ideas, but just want to be rid of the belief in them, as I know they have to do with an imaginary me.
Yeah. Well, whatever comes up, you know. If you move to do it, you'll do it. And a lot of value in a lot of the things that Eva's doing. There's a lot of problems in a lot of the things we do.
Yeah, that's not too bad idea to be healthy and do a lot of steps.
That's right. Yeah.
Not too dramatic, but...
if it's moved to do it, you'll do it.
Yeah, but I think what the problem is the fixation on the ideas. So to be moved and move is not a big deal, but if you're obsessing about it, and I remember I used to obsess about meditating, being 30 and being full of energy, and rather cleaning the whole house from up to the basement than sitting for an hour and do nothing, because it was just so difficult. But if I didn't do it, I would beat myself up. So it is the fixation on the idea. Like I imagine that, you know, walking 10,000 steps is what a great idea, but not walking them and having that noise in the head all the time, reminding you and punishing you and controlling and judging, that's the fixation. Like if you think of fixation on, let's say, on like cigarette when you are a smoker or the drink or the drug, any fixation, any repetitive narrative can be torturous.
Yeah, you can be fixated on these things, and we do, but then no matter how much you want to do it or how fixated, there comes a time when you can't do it. Again, nature of itself chops it out. But the urge to do things can come up, and you can exercise it, or it can be exercised. You can't do anything. Whatever happens, happens by itself anyway.
How to approach the narrative? How to approach that noise, that narrative? Well, I can think of 2 things. First, just bring up the opposite. And they are also little tricks, funny little tricks, like, you know, make that narrative sound ridiculous. Or look at the animals. How many thousand steps have the wolf do in a step? Or the tiger, and just kind of make it ridiculous in whichever way you can. It's just like be inspired. Make it sound like a child, or like someone speaking with the cork in the mouth, or drunk. Or bring up the gratitude. What a wonderful narrative. Like imagine people having narrative, oh, I have to do 10,000 steps. And they instead say to themselves, oh, I'm such a piece of shit, I'm worthless, I gotta die.
Yeah,
It's just...
But what do they say? 1,000-mile journey begins with a single step.
And always the best thing about approaching anything in life is to be who you are, which means be a space. What does space care about the content of the narrative? What that emptiness of plain consciousness care about whether there is a noise or not noise? whether the noise sounds like drunk or goes faster or slower, because those are all helpful tricks. But really coming back to your true nature as who you are in your heart, not in your talking, the chatter. Whether the noise is there or not, it doesn't matter. I would still rather bring a gratitude for the content of that narrative to be not that harmful.
But then again, there's that other story, another one from the Arabian Nights, where the merchant goes down to his servant goes down to the marketplace, and in the marketplace he meets up with death. And death gives him a dirty look and frightens the hell out of the servant, so he races back to the mansion. Master, master, quick. He said, I've just met death in the marketplace and I fear he's going to take me. He gave me such a terrible look. Lend me your fastest horse so I can flee to Baghdad and escape him. The master says, okay. So he jumps on the horse and flogs it out of the stable yard, and away he goes to Baghdad. And the master goes for a walk later on in the afternoon, and he meets up with Death. And he says, Death, he says, what's the idea of frightening my servant the way you did? Death says, well, he says, I didn't mean to frighten him. But he says, I got such a surprise at seeing him here, and when I know that tonight I've got an appointment with him in Baghdad, he says, I gave him a frightened look.
And that wonderfully puts it in a perspective, doesn't it? Wonderfully puts the whole body and its health and its habits into a perspective.
Yes, you don't know where it's going to take you.
Yeah. And what Bob said initially, see where is the movement? Because the chatter is one thing. If you are moved to get up and do the exercises or go for a walk and count your steps, that's the movement that comes from the intelligence of the nature of the body. Chatter is just a narrative commentary. The movement may be there, but maybe other priorities happening in life. And you are the space in which that battle happens. That I want to do it, but I don't, and I should, but all that battle happens in that space that you are. It is a very good question, because it's not just that thought, it is any repetitive, obsessive thought that can actually be quite torturous and can bring quite a lot of suffering. And it is also a great invitation to actually see it for what it is, especially if it's really emotionally charged and it's really persistent and you can't ignore it. Then you can't not see it. And when you see it, you can even count it. You can even just play with it, have fun with it. Not that you are a doer, it's just to inspire another counterparts to come into the picture, into the dance, and just be the space for them. And we have Chris. When you talk about the self-center or reference point, you are referring to the voice inside the head that thinks it is a real thing, right? And seeing that the inner dialogue or I thought isn't real or me is the key? Beautifully said. Spot on. Yeah, I'll read it again. When you talk about the self-centered or reference point, you are referring to the voice inside the head. It could be a voice, it could be a conceptual image made of memories, it could be any sort of an I thought. It depends whether you're visual or auditory or kinesthetic. It could even be a feeling of contraction or being not enough, being deficient. Whatever the image is, it could be auditory or could be visual or kinesthetic. It is a real thing. So you're referring to that voice that thinks it is a real thing. And seeing that the inner dialogue or I thought isn't real is the key. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It will still seem real, like the blue sea still seems blue, even though you know it's not. It's transparent. That voice is transparent. That image is transparent. It's nothing there. And there we got Amarnath answering to Tanya. Beautiful Tanya, you yourself answered your question. You're separate from those two thoughts. Concentration should be on thinker, not on thoughts. Great, you have already done. Or just see the thinking. Instead of creating thinker and thoughts, just see the thinking is happening in the space that you are. Whatever works. And Melinda, there is a lot of talk at the moment about doing the right thing. Is there such a thing? Wonderful question.
Nothing either right or wrong, but thinking.
Thinking makes it so.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. There are things that are relatively right, like, this is right for the body to feed it and to keep it clean, and it's wrong to give it whatever poison. But that's just all dreamlike relativity. And it is amazing how that idea of doing right thing is used politically. Like, you should do what I'm doing because that's the right thing to do. You should believe in what I believe because that's the right thing to do. So it's good to laugh. And Amarnath replying to Melinda, yes, there could be right, but there is no right person similarly beyond right or wrong. If everything is right or everything is wrong, both cancel each other like our or you're all in dream or none. Like you are all in dream or none. Yeah, make everything right or make everything wrong, and that's what Nisargadatta was hinting at when he says you love one part of the dream and not the other. You love all of it or none of it. Make everything right or make everything wrong, and the rest is it's on one. And Mukti replying to Tanya, see who is it that says the steps must be done, and then there is either an urge or not. As Amarnath said, you answered yourself. And Otul replying to Tanya, thinker is also just a thought. Absolutely. And Tanya answering to Amarnath, I am not those two thoughts. Attention should be on who is the thinker, yes. And see if there is any, because maybe you find there is no one there. And Amarnath, there is nothing in story, mind, movement. Stationary is watching without involvement. Thanks, Kat. Invite love and gratitude. And now Tanya replying to herself. Great question, Mukti. We'll contemplate this. Thanks. Seems the answers usually follow the questions. I have all I need to recognize true nature, really. Yeah, you are. That's your true nature, the essence of existence. The rest is the narrative, is the story. Amarnath to Chris. Oh, that's just a beautiful bunch of hearts and smiles. And oopsie, that just went completely away. Okay, that's true, Otul. I can't find the thinker, Tanya says to Otul. That's right. And Michael, with thoughts that used to drive me crazy, I now kind of welcome them, because if they weren't so horrible and painful, I couldn't have just drifted through life instead of searching for the truth. What a magnificent point. Yeah, the suffering is usually what actually makes us start looking deeper beyond the thoughts, and that's ultimately liberates from believing in thoughts. Beautiful point. Yeah, kind of welcome them. Yes, you can also see, I like that aspect, that every thought, no matter how horrible or annoying or repetitive, if you really actually even speak with that voice, it has your good at heart. Even if that thought says, oh yeah, you have to go, if not, you are a loser. Yeah, what it really says, it says, oh, I care so much, I don't want you to be a loser. It's really the intention behind those thoughts are always to serve the self. Even if thought is ferocious or is angry or is punitive, really down underneath it, what it communicates is service of the self, because the whole machinery has been designed to survive. So whatever means, the means may be wrong, they may be selfish, they may be misguided, but the intention back there, so yeah, welcome, why not? Say thank you. That's the way to kind of offload the tension. And O'Toole, everything is happening in now, yet nothing is happening.
That's right, a still no thing.
And add a couple of words. Nothing ever happened. Nothing's happening.
Well, no thing. It's all no thing. Yeah. No thing's appearing to be something. Just the way it is. Just like the water in a mirage, you know. There's no water there, but it appears to be so. Still no thing.
Just like in the dream, so much is happening. And does it really happen? Now, Julia was thanking us before for pointing and said the dream, I kind of telephone filtered it out. The dream got more entertaining when the suffering eases. Thank you, Julia. Mind seems to fixate on one thing, on another. Let it fixate. Yep. Yeah, let mind do its thing. Just like you let your skin sweat, cool, or your stomach do whatever it does. Yeah, it's Amarnath, ignoring the ignorance is a beautiful sadhana.
Yeah.
And Tanya, thank you, Bob and Kat. We'll watch this again. So many good pointers here. What is wrong with right now, if you don't think about it, could be applied to those seemingly problematic thoughts.
Yeah.
Yes, it's incredible what a fantastic inner guidance you have. Like you always find, you ask for inspiration, but I see you're asking for inspiration more as inspiring others. In a way you actually really find. Oops, wait, the cat is moving. I'll just do that. So he can freely pass. Come, Prestige, come. And now where are we? Yes, Julia, I have learned this week that mind seems to fixate on one story or another, any ole rubbish. I've learned this week that mind seems to fixate on one story or another, any ole rubbish.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the mind. That's the machinery. That's what it does. It kind of shines this torchlight of attention. And it's actually quite interesting to see, to observe the movement of attention. Like put your attention, on the movement of attention, and see what you're attracted to. See what is, what creates response of pleasure and what creates displeasure. Like, you know, some people focus on things that are really uncomfortable, like they focus on distractions or negative thoughts or the traffic or anger, and this is just a habit. But once that habit of attention is observed from that freedom, sort of a space-like awareness, it becomes interesting. Rather than becoming a problem, it becomes something curious to study. And Yeah, I can see when Bob and I, we go for a walk, attention habitually goes to different things, and we share those things. Like one is seeing the buildings, another one is seeing plants, yet another is seeing whatever, people, and that's that's just how the mind works. Ignoring the ignorance, that's O'Toole replying to Amarnath. Where is the ignorance? How sun can experience the night?
Yeah, what?
How can sun experience the night?
Can't.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a gorgeous little aspect. Yes, there's all is just one. And Amarnath, fixation is notion, doing on undoer. What a fun. Yeah, it's just happening. And Amarnath replying to that ignorance, ignoring the ignorance is beautiful sadhana. Beautiful, and a lot of icons. There is neither ignorance nor knowledge. Who wants to seek? Seeking can happen without seeker. Yeah?
It generally does.
It generally does.
Something
yes.
moves you to look into something, and you mightn't deliberately set out to even think about that or have any idea about it at all.
Yeah. And it's not just spiritual seeking. It's a seeking for the remedy for your back pain, or
That's
seeking
right.
for a healthy sort of supplement, like whatever it is just happening. Is part of happening. Monkey is seeking for a banana tree.
And even your birth
Yeah.
and the so-called cessation too. Nobody does it.
Yes. And O'Toole, how can seeking remain without the seeker? Seeker is the seeking.
Yep.
Well, yeah, without the narrative, there is no seeker without the seeking, and there is no thought.
No
it's
thought,
just
yeah.
it's just the movement. But the moment there is a seeking for something, there would be a seeker and a thought.
That's the vibration, the movement.
Yeah. Attention is the food for mind. Mind always craves your attention for keeping itself alive. Yeah, I get this. There is a point in there, although your attention is probably a little bit. Yeah, you gotta say it somehow. I can't see how to say it.
You can't be
but
attentive.
Yes,
Well, you can't be inattentive. You know. You can only recognise your inattention from the point of attention.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see what you say, O'Toole. Yes, that the mind or any object can't exist. Nothing can actually exist without attention. Everything appears within that attention or within the consciousness. Without it, it doesn't have any existence. So yes, everything competes for that attention to exist, because everything loves to be. And Carl, Tanya, how wonderful. Oh, this is a nice one. I'll just have to find the beginning. Yes. Tanya, how wonderful that you could share your experience despite feeling embarrassed by it. That takes heart and courage. And that's really wonderful contribution, because you're not being selfish here, you're actually being helpful. As Bob says, the false cannot stand up to investigation. If you... Gosh, this cut. If you can question and inquire into the reality of those beliefs, perhaps they will fall away on their own accord.
They do, if you question or looked into. The false can't stand up to it.
Yes. And what do the beliefs say will happen if you don't maintain the correct weight or don't hit those 10,000 steps a day? Yeah, that's a nice contemplation to do.
Yeah.
In my personal experience, behind those beliefs tends to be a deeper belief about oneself that there are covering, such as I'm not good enough or I'm a failure, that we are in perpetual resistance to, trying to prove them wrong while simultaneously holding on to them as truth on a deeper level. Try not to rid yourself of these beliefs, as Bob just said. Resistance will only perpetuate them. If you can inquire within and see them for what they truly are, and not resist their existence, that is enough to become free from their hold upon you. Beautiful. Thank you for inspiration, Carl.
Who was it?
Carl.
No, any belief is not actual. Belief is never the actual thing.
And we have Amarnath. Real mother and cut in a bracket and father, Bob in the brackets, are here. Who gave birth to supreme knowledge without knower and known? Infinite love and gratitude to both. What can be done in millions of years can be done in milliseconds. Nice.
There's the other way around. Nobody gave birth to the real knowledge. Real knowledge is giving birth to everything.
Oh yeah, or is unborn.
Yeah. Everything is perfectly resolved in the unborn now.
But it's a beautiful poetic expression. Thank you. And although, isn't the sun surrounded by night?
By what?
Isn't the sun surrounded by night?
By night.
Yeah.
Yeah, but can the sun ever know night?
That's the
Can light ever know darkness?
Yeah. And is there a darkness, or is there just an absence of light?
Yeah.
Like you have zero light, a little bit of light, more light, a lot of light, but it's really just one factor. And seeking creates the illusion of the seeker. Yep.
Yep.
That's it for now. I see. Oh, there is something coming up here. Nope. Unborn is unborn again, Bob. So nothing happened. And that was Amarnath. And O'Toole says, cloud can only cover your eye, but it can't cover the sun. Yeah, it's a nice little image when you see, and Bob is describing it beautifully, the vastness, the extreme vastness of the sun, which is so much greater than the Earth and all of the planets, and is so far away. And what is the cloud? It's a tiny little cover around the tiny little planet far away, and it's only visible from a tiny little ant walking on that planet, that little human that is looking up and seeing the cloud and seemingly not seeing the sun. But are you that little vehicle there? Are you that little point in consciousness? Or are you the consciousness itself? Or are you the sun, the radiance of sun? Because if you are who you are, the fact that the canopy there seems grey or black or whatever makes no difference. The light or the clarity or the radiance is recognized, is on the foreground. But it is a nice analogy, like who are you identify with? If you are that little human, that little vehicle, that little body-mind machine, and you look up, yes, the sun may seem very obscured, the clouds may seem very dense, absolutely, and that's the appearance, that's the manifested world. The true nature can be covered up. The true identity may be fit into that little costume, that tiny little tight costume of poor little unworthy, unlovable me, ugly, too fat, too slim, too stupid. But yeah, who are you without the story? What do you know rather than what do you believe? Looking for a card? What are you looking at?
Yeah.
Aha, I see. Sorry. It's good. And now, Tanya, my legs up a little bit. Let's see. Thank you for such a lovely response, Carl. I think the belief is about being good enough partly. There is the thought something bad will happen and an anxious feeling. But we'll look into this more. I very much appreciate the inspiration to investigate in this way. How could thought possibly know what will happen? Laughing out loud. And who will this bad thing happen to? A thought, idea, or concept. Haha. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Beautiful. Yeah, the deep contemplation is something that nobody can do for you. It is like we can throw the pointers, but I better put it down. Yeah, but you have to actually just really see where they're pointing. It's just a finger pointing at the moon, it's not the moon itself. It's like Bob is talking about the road mark, or, you know, the information, Berk Road this way, or Copenhagen 10 kilometers, or whatever it is. It is not, the map is not the territory. So the due diligence, rather than just keeping entertaining, listening to various speakers and agreeing or disagreeing with what they say, oh yeah, that I will believe and that I won't believe. Just sitting with it really and looking into it, looking behind the words, beyond the words, to where they're pointing. And they are real treasures. The contemplation in silence. And O'Toole, unconditional acceptance of the now is the gratitude and thanks. And Tanya, also I can see there has been resistance to these beliefs and sensations that come up after the thoughts. I'm starting to see these beliefs for what they are now. Beautiful.
Yeah, it all opens itself up.
Yes.
If you're aware. There, that.
And Julia, Tanya, I understand what Carl is saying, as the mind can be programmed into thinking we are not enough. The mind is not whole but separate and always searching to become better, more successful, right, healthier. See that you are already perfect and then allow it to be as it is. Yeah, that's beautifully said, Julia. That's what I was actually trying to say when I was pointing at the intention beyond every thought, even the most horrible, oh, you bullshit, you failure. That the intention is to always find something better, give something, to care. You said it, always searching to become better, more successful, right? That's the caring. It is based on the wrong assumption. The assumption is that there is something better than this moment now, that there is a time in the future when that better can be achieved. But the intention is really pure. That's wanting the best for your own heart, for your own sake. So staying with the intention and saying thank you. Thank you, no. O'Toole, not needing of the free will is the real beautiful free will.
Free.
Yeah, that's the will that is free to do as it pleases. The nature of the life. Yeah, not needing free will. Who needs the free will? Yeah. The attachment to the idea of having free will and being in control or in charge. What a nice dream. Painful though. And Amarnath, wanting to come out of dream itself is a part of the dream. He's quoting Nisargadatta. Yeah. Yeah, this is in the same quote I was mentioning before, that dream is not your problem. The problem is you want to wake up from some negative things, and the positives you don't. You kind of don't want a pain, but you do want a pleasure. And yeah, so waking up from the dream will happen either way when the body dies. But realizing it is the dream, that's all you can do. That's all that can happen. Because it's not you doing it, it's just what happens when the thinking stops. And the thinking doesn't have to stay stopped. It is just enough if it stops for an instant, and the different way of perceiving, the unfiltered perception, the direct knowing, the knowing with your heart, with your essence, rather than filtered through the meaning making and translated through the comparison with the previous beliefs. When this sort of machinery is bypassed, direct knowing that you are, that's the awakening to the dream. The dream goes on, the perception goes on, the interpretation of what's perceived and other sensations, they go on. But who cares? I'll see if there is anything more on the phone. Yes. Mind is always looking to do the luck of it. Doesn't find any luck, then it creates illusory luck. In this way, it perpetuates itself. Oh, I got it here as well. I'll read it again. Yeah, that's okay. Mind is always looking to do the luck of it. Doesn't find any luck, then it creates illusionary luck. In this way, it perpetuates itself. Yeah, finds itself a job. Everything loves to be, even thoughts. They love to be, so they compete for attention. Deny them attention, you starve them. And not that there is anyone to do denying of the attention. Again, it's just an inspiration to see things as they are. Absence wants presence, but why want in between? That's Amarnath.
What is it?
Absence want presence, but why want in between?
What's in?
Hey?
What's in between?
Yeah, I don't know. I read the whole sentence. Yes, and Otul just put a correction on the sentence. Mind is always looking for the luck. And everything is beautiful as it is if you don't interfere with natural flow. Nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So natural state is it's natural.
It's natural.
Yeah.
See, it's timeless, spaceless.
And we have another couple of minutes. So, got it. Amarnath, what or who want is absence, called ignorance, mind. What or who want is absence, called ignorance, mind. And O'Toole says, love is oneness. Yeah, love is kind of a nice aspect of, or nice label for that life essence, or that intelligence, or that flow of consciousness or attention. Because on one hand, love is all accepting, unconditional. So it is kind of base. On the other hand, it is a movement. Because
and God is love, love is God.
Mm-hmm. We really miss your birthday party, Amarnath says. Oh, sorry, Amarnath, that you're not closer. It would be nice to have you there. Yeah, eventually, after 10 or 11 days after the birthday, we will gather and have a couple of cakes. So, yeah, maybe the times will change. There's no time. But thank you for wishing for all your birthday love, and it was a post, love is oneness, love is life. So I'm really, really deeply grateful for all the love that flows his way, because that is what keeps him alive. So, so thank you for, and see you soon, everyone who is coming to Sofia for that couple of cakes, and exchanging that beautiful love and gratitude, because that's the purest form of attention. It's the purest form of exchange in a life essence, and it does work. And Amarnath says, thank you all and love you all. And Tanya says, there has been a waiting for more insight to appear before recognition of true nature will happen. But without thought, there is no seeking, no separate entity, and no separation. Maybe nothing needs to happen. Beautiful.
No thing is always happening.
Yes, and before recognition of true nature, recognition of true nature is always and ever there. You always are. You always are alive. You always are aware of your aliveness. So that is always there. Sometimes attention goes elsewhere and ignores it, but it is always there. So yeah, it's no waiting for like 100,000 and 10 times or 10,000 hours of meditation or 20 insights more, or nah. The true nature is shining forth always in between the obscuration. The clear blue sky is, or blue or black or whatever, is there underneath and between all the clouds. And happy birthday also, Unborn. Happy birthday, Unborn, from O'Toole.
Everything is perfectly resolved there.
And Tanya, I hope you all enjoy the lovely cake. Love and friendship by all the lovely expressions of the one essence that will be there. Thank you, Tanya. And yes, sorry you won't be there. Sorry you're not that far away, but still too far. But thank you for your presence in the heart and here. And Amarnath, waiting is notion how timeless can be found in time. Quote from Nisargadatta. Yeah. And Jane, thank you so much, Bob and Kat. Look forward to seeing you soon. And please, let's eat cake. Will do. Looking forward to seeing you too. Yeah, and I think that's about the time. The thank you is coming, and happy birthdays are coming, and
thank you all.
yeah, Thank you all. I love you all.